Hi, everybody. I'm Jim. Welcome to Great Books, Big Ideas. In this episode, I'd like to share a personal story about how my odyssey with the great books got started. It's actually a few catalysts for this lifelong chain reaction, but today I'll focus just on this set of books behind me. The Great Books of the Western World, published by Encyclopedia Britannica. My dad bought this set in the early 1960s before I was born. Here's the certificate that came along with the set. You can see this may have been a gift, although if someone gave it, they didn't put who it was from. Maybe Dad bought this himself. And February 17th, 1962 is when they got it. That was a couple years before I was born. If memory serves me, the bookcase stood in our living room when I was a very young child. And at some point, it migrated to my bedroom, which doubled as a family office. My bed was on one half and the office on the other half. In addition to the great books of the Western world, there was this really cool built in bookcase with children's books and a set of illustrated Bible stories that my mom had bought and a World Book Encyclopedia set. And on one side of my bed were two large bookcases set up back to back, filled with other books like my dad's Book of the Month Club books and books on religion, mostly from my mom, and their old college textbooks and some cheap paperbacks. And on the other side of the bookcases was a large metal desk, a real 50s looking desk with drawers, and my mom's manual typewriter from her college days was on there. And basically, I grew up surrounded by books. Practically all the books in my house were stored in my bedroom, no one else's room. My earliest inclinations towards classic literature were fed by these inexpensive paperbacks called Magnum Easy Eye Classics. I don't have a copy with me right now, but we used to buy those at Two Guys, a department store, discount department store. I think they were like 99 cents a piece. I'll have to do another video on those because they are very beloved too. But anyway, back to the great books of the Western world. Before I ever read any of these volumes, I would mostly just stare at them. They looked kind of austere and not exactly inviting. And yet I was drawn to them. I would look at the authors' names on the spines. And why were they color coded? What was the scheme? I had no clue. It wasn't until I became a teenager, I think, that I actually began to explore the volumes. I was probably in high school. And as I thumbed through the various volumes, I could tell that these books were essentially untouched. Nobody had read them, clearly. I imagine this was the case for most of the sets that were sold to the American middle classes. They were markers of culture, erudition, but nobody really used them. They were more like furniture, probably. Well, I've always been a bit of a do it your own way kind of guy, so I decided maybe I would be different and I would actually give these books a chance and maybe actually read them. So I cracked open volume one. It's called The Great Conversation. It's a series of essays by Robert Maynard Hutchins, uh, one of the series editors. And to make a long story short, I got hooked. Now, I'm going to do a video, perhaps a series of videos on this work, so I won't dive into the guts of everything in here. I'll only say that what really captured my imagination at the time was Hutchins's definitions of what a classic book is, what is the great conversation, what is a liberal education, and there's also his call to action that you could attain a liberal education without formal schooling or outside of a formal classroom, just by reading and studying these books. And I was young and hungry. I had world enough in time. So I decided to start at the beginning and march my way through the books in chronological order by color coded category. And by the way, what do the colors mean? Olive green is for imaginative literature like Shakespeare and Sophocles. Red is for philosophy and religion like Plato or St. Augustine. Blue is for history, social theory, politics, so Karl Marx or Plutarch. Green is for science, mathematics, and social science. And this project has been a lifelong journey, and I'm nowhere near the end of it. I did read a lot of the Greek and Roman authors here, and the literature I got sometimes from other editions, so I'm pretty well read in a bunch of that. But I feel like my formal education has been really fortified by reading these books. And the real education didn't happen so much inside of a classroom or in papers I wrote. It happened right here, grappling with these challenging yet stimulating books and all the other classic books in my collection. Now, eventually, after my father passed away and my mother was in her declining years, the great book set passed into my hands. I didn't want to see it leave the family. And the years have not been so kind to it. The simulated leather covers, they have a tendency to crack and chip. And if you're in the market for a set of your own, I recommend you go with the cloth bound versions, which I think came out actually before these came out. If I'm not mistaken, the original sets came out around 1952. These were probably more like 57-ish, late 50s, early 60s. So also around 1990, a revised edition, expanded edition of the Great Books of the Western World came out. And those have black covers, also color-coded. And I bought an incomplete set of those about, I don't know, 15 years ago or so. Someone on Craigslist was getting rid of them, and I think I paid $80 for about like 80% of the books. And over the next few years, I completed the set by buying individual volumes at places like eBay and so forth. And not only that, I'll show those to you another time too, but then there's these supplements, and they're called The Great Ideas Today. And they ran from 1961 to 1998. I've collected a complete set of those over the years. Those are really fascinating volumes, and they deserve their own episode one of these days. But that's not all. When you bought the great books, they offered these like supplementary volumes. Let me see if I can grab one. So like this one's on ethics, and these were called the Great Ideas Program. So these were sort of like guides, reading plans, introductions, discussion questions to get you going with the set and actually start using them. And then there's also this set of books called The Gateway to the Great Books. This was geared for children, young people, to get them started on great books. Lots of really interesting materials in here. And I actually came into a complete set of those through serendipity. Someone gave them to me who was getting rid of them. I was really thrilled to get those. So it's interesting, what started out as this white elephant book set that wound up in my bedroom because no one wanted them elsewhere, turned into a passion and a calling. And I hope to share some of that passion and insights that I've gained about these books in future episodes with you. So how did your engagement with great books begin? Leave a comment. I'd love to know. If you've enjoyed the video, smash the like and subscribe buttons. It really helps to build an audience for this channel. Thanks for watching. I hope you'll tune in again very soon.